Hello, and welcome to the Semantria Online Configurator, affectionately known as SWeb. To get started, go to online.semantria.com and log in using your username and password associated with your Semantria account. Once you log in, you'll be presented with all your configurations. SWeb is used to manage the different aspects of your configuration, including sharing configurations, configuring all the different stuff like queries, categories, and sentiment, managing the users that are there, and setting different things with API settings. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what you can do. There are other videos here that actually will take you in depth as to how to configure each one of these functions. So this is the heart of what you're doing here, the configuration management. Inside of each configuration, you can clone the configuration, you can share it with another user. You manage your users up here so you can actually associate other users with the account and share different configurations with them. And then inside of a configuration, you can configure queries, categories, sentiment, entities, blacklist, and then the API functions. Queries. Queries are Boolean search phrases that are used to actually tag content based on parameters that you put in. You can do it inside of a builder, or you can actually just put the Boolean phrase in it itself. They're great, they're surgical, they're good for picking out exactly what you want and configuring things into buckets like, say, service or food. Categories are broader. They're based on our knowledge of Wikipedia. We've taken it in, parsed it out, we understand the connections of words. And so what you can do for very broad topic areas like, say, food, is you put in a training set, a set of keywords that indicate food. And then what it will do is it will match content like these things, including these keywords, but for this data set it would also include things like apples or stir fry, stuff that matches this that's mentioned in Wikipedia, but may not be these words themselves. So again, very good for broad topic areas where you may not know every possible keyword. Sentiment allows you to tune the actual sentiment phrases in the dictionary. Certain business areas require different terminology, like the word sick is probably positive if you're talking about video games, probably negative if you're talking about hospitals. Entities allows you to configure the kind of entities that you're going to be extracting. Semantria has a number of different ways that we extract entities. One of them is using lists. This allows you to set up the lists, it allows you to normalize them, set the type of entity, and so that you can actually hone in on those entities that are most prevalent inside of your content. The blacklist allows you to put in terms that are occurring frequently inside of your content, but that are uninteresting to you. So things like job titles or terms in boilerplate, you put in here so that they never appear in your analysis. Last thing I want to point out are the API configuration functions. So the API itself behaves differently depending on your data set. So what you can do is you can do things like change the name, you can turn Twitter mode on, which is a set of options that's optimized for processing social media content. You can change how much of the content has to be alphanumeric. For example, if you have something that's a bunch of commas, it's probably not very interesting, so you can play with that threshold. You can also set the amount of things that come back for each one of your analysis. For example, your categories themselves, maybe you have a very categorically rich content set, or maybe you have something that doesn't have very many entities. You're going to have to play with these a bit on your analysis because some data sets require richer and deeper, others you just want the top 2 or 3. So that's the general overview. Other videos are going to discuss things like caching system, how you push changes live, how you configure queries in detail, how to handle user management, etc., etc., etc. So stay tuned.